Bahari, would you like to dance? Oh, I love dancing. Great, I'll go get the soap. Excuse me? Oh, have you not danced before? Not with soap? Then you are missing out. Ladies, gentlemen, and most of all ladies, when it comes to hunting monsters, a lot of us just find the things that work the best mathematically speaking and then go with it sorted forever. But sometimes that can get a little bit stale. Sometimes you might find yourself wondering, is there something stronger than just going full attack boost and crit? Is there a way to take advantage of some of the more niche skills to achieve something great? And the answer is, of course there is a way to achieve great things with these, yeah! Not only is it yes now, but it might even be more of a yes in the future. And today I'm here to talk to you about an often forgotten skill to tell you that you should be absolutely not sleeping on Bubbly Dance. That's right, that Bubbly Dance. This is a skill that at rank 3 makes it so when you roll 3 times in a row, you give yourself the minor Bubble Blight debuff. But with this skill, it makes it also give you the equivalent of Evade Window rank 2, as well as reducing your stamina consumption in general. Of course, the Evade Window part is useful for everyone, just everyone. It's more iframes on your dodging, which makes it easier to avoid being hit by the monster that you're fighting. But the stamina is of course extra good for certain weapons that use way more stamina than in their general combat loop. However, what's extra special about this skill is that it is just one of the most consistent ways there is, in fact probably the most consistent way there is, to activate 2 whole other skills. Resuscitate, which gives you bonus raw attack when you are actively inflicted with an abnormal status, and Coalescence, which gives you bonus raw attack, element, and status buildup for a short period of time after you are cleared of an abnormal status or blight. What's especially interesting about this is that Bubbly Dance's Blight is one that is very controllable in a way that keeps both of these skills active simultaneously and permanently, which is pretty much impossible with any other debuff in the game unless you go out of your way to be hit by a monster in combat.
Why would I do that?
The main other ways that there are of activating these skills are with other skills like Bloodlust, but with Bloodlust you can only have one of these 2 activated at a time, really, or Hellfire Cloak, which you can have both skills active at the same time, but only when the monster is enraged, as this skill is only active when you're fighting an enraged monster. No, the best way to take advantage of both of these damage buffs at the same time is quite simply Bubbly Dance, and I will tell you why. Obviously, activating Resuscitate is very simple with this. You roll 3 times, you have Bubble Blight. Once you have Bubble Blight, Resuscitate is active. But from here is where it gets even more interesting. If nothing happens, if you're just walking around having a good time with your bubbles following you, maybe you're just generally in combat hitting the monster, not really thinking about anything but enjoying your life, this buff will last for exactly 30 seconds. After that, it falls off, and when it falls off, it'll activate Coalescence. Coalescence, funnily enough, has an active time of, you guessed it, 30 seconds. This means it has a sort of natural synergy, a perfect loop between these 2 skills, where when Bubble Blight falls off, Coalescent is then active for 30 seconds. You roll 3 times, and then Bubble Blight is active for 30 seconds before applying Coalescence once again. Through that by itself, with nothing but Bubbly Dance, you can keep near perfect uptime on these 2 separate buffing skills to boost your attack. Bubbly Dance itself is purely a utility and survival buff on its own, giving you the extra evade potency and the reduced stamina use while it's active, but it is also an exceptional gateway to activating these 2 damage increasing skills. On top of that, and quite intriguing on its own, if you are hit by a monster while you have Bubble Blight applied, it will remove the Bubble Blight from you. You may think of this as a negative, but this also, of course, activates Coalescence, and so obviously, while it isn't ideal to be hit by a monster at any point in your life really, if you are hit by one while you're using this setup, all you are doing really is resetting the timer on Coalescence, which is a good thing. That said, because of the timer loop of its natural decay just being perfectly 30 seconds, this setup actually excels on weapons that don't purposefully dodge to avoid every attack. Things that guard, things that counter, and things that don't massively need to use dodging in general as a repositioning maneuver either, so that you can actually let your Bubble Blight decay naturally without resetting the timer accidentally. That said, how effective actually is this then? Well, the thing is, while it does take a fair amount of skill space to put all 3 of these into your skill list, it is actually quite achievable. Bubbly Dance itself is a fairly low tier skill as far as the game is concerned, meaning that you can get some great Bubbly Dance talismans, and it is also quite easy to get through the curio crafting system onto your armor as well. That's right, an easy to achieve good skill that you can get that synergize with other things from curio crafting.
I don't believe you.
That's the thing here, right? For some weapons, we are running out of offensive skills to pile into our sets, into our builds, right? Even if you go full meta, attack boost, weakness exploit, crit boost, critical eye, there is a limit to what you can actually stick in a set and still have it just be climbing in value. And over time, our builds are going to be given even more space to play around with. From curio crafting in Title Update 1 to the inevitable introduction of things like a double attack boost 4-slot jewel in the future. They will almost undoubtedly happen, they will almost undoubtedly be added to the game, and when they do, our builds will simply have even more space to mess around with than they do now. And what will be the next avenue of upgrade that we will turn to for pure attack increases? I think it may well actually be based around Bubbly Dance. After all, even now, both Bubbly Dance and Resuscitate have 4-slot decoration options for multiple ranks of their respective skill, and Coalescence is a 2-slot jewel, which makes it relatively includable too into your build if more space opens up. And you can make some pretty damn strong just general combat builds already with all of these skills in use, such as the two that I'm messing around with in the background footage of this video. One is just a straight up attack and crit build that I stuffed these skills into instead of finishing off the last few ranks of crit eye, and the number of its effective raw actually winds up being either equal or higher in this build to what it would be without it, which is notable especially because this has a utility benefit as well in the effects of Bubbly Dance itself. On top of that, you can even shove it into an all dereliction build if you are using one as well, and all the buffs will stack even further. It works a bit less in these because the space in here is already a bit lower than a standard crit and attack build, but especially if you use a weapon like Hunting Horn, for example, which has a high amount of its damage unaffected by affinity in the shockwaves itself. This is just another avenue to stack pure raw attack into your raw attack build to further increase the damage, which otherwise is sorta hard to do at this point. Overall, what I want to say here is, Bubbly Dance is great, it's a fantastic skill. The way that it enables both Resuscitate and Coalescence is also great, and it's fun to mess around with all of this together too. Not only is it actually quite offensively potent when you use these in tandem, especially in builds that have damage multipliers going on, like Offensive Guard for example, but it gives you a utility buff in increasing your evasion, iframes, and decreasing your stamina usage as well. You get to have bubbles floating around you, which is just fun too. Sure, for some people, Monster Hunter is just about finding the absolute most efficient way that you can slice up a monster in the lowest amount of time possible, the numerically perfect build. But why not also spice up your life a bit? What if you could be doing just as much damage, or even more in some cases, but with bubbles floating around and being a little bit better at dodging? Sure, you have to mess around with activating Bubbly Dance and purposefully letting it fall off. I'm not saying that this is a replacement to the meta because you actually have to think about it and play slightly differently. I don't think that everyone who only cares about damage should be doing this, but I'm saying that this is an option, an incredibly strong option that people are absolutely underestimating even now, and that no one, absolutely no one should be sleeping on Bubbly Dance. What about you guys? What do you think? Have you been using this skill all along, or have you left it forgotten along the way, moved on to other things? Now is the time to get back into it. I'm telling you, especially with how easy it is to curio craft this skill into your armor set, it is time for a resurgence of Bubbly Dance, and it will only become more and more relevant the more updates that are released for Sunbreak, I'm sure of it. The more 4-slot decorations we have added in, the more space that we will have in our already existing builds, and there are only so many ways to increase your attack and crit before you have to start diving into the more obscure skills, the more niche ones, and I'm telling you that Bubbly Dance is one of the strongest obscure skills there is when it's used right in combination with these other things. Between the fact that even getting hit by a monster activates Coalescence on its own, or even just the perfect rotating timers of 30 seconds of active time before it falls off, and Coalescence itself also lasting for exactly 30 seconds, it just works so well with these two other skills that are great raw attack increases. As the weapons in general have been slowly shifting towards element being king, this is what people have been missing. This is what people have been forgetting about that will let you increase the raw attack damage side of things as well, to even it all out again a little bit. I hope you've enjoyed this talk about Bubbly Dance. I truly believe it's an exceptional skill that just not enough people are taking advantage of. Let me know what other skills you think are treated the same way as this. I'm sure there might be even some that I myself have slept on in the past. Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.